Alright, so we're going to do the first oil change on the 2019 VW Tiguan. So I got everything from the dealer just because I want to make sure I got the right stuff. I know if you read stuff on the internet, they'll say that Tiguan's use 5W40 synthetic, full synthetic from Castrol, and not my car. I'll show you in a second where you find that information. So you want to make sure you got the right type of oil, and this is a 0W20. And it has to be Castrol Edge Professional because that has some sort of VW right here, the spec number, this 508, 509. It has to be that. Part of that might be because the Tiguan oil change is 1 year or 10,000 miles. So the first change I'm going at about 4,500 miles. And then after that, I'll see how far. I don't think I'm gonna take it up to 10,000 miles. It seems like a long time. Maybe 7,500, maybe 8,000. Because this whole setup here isn't cheap. So the oil is, for the 6 quarts of oil, it's $56.16. They recommend changing this plastic oil plug, and it's got a little O-ring on it. That's $5.80, and like I said, this is all from the dealer. And then the filter, which is $11.65. So the grand total with tax was $77.29. When I looked up a similar set like this online, I thought there was a place that had it for 55 or 57. But then when I looked again, they were up to like 75. So it was still free shipping, but this way I know I got the right stuff, and the next time I order, I can order online and get it cheaper through online instead of going through the dealer. So let's open up the filter and take a look at that. So on top here is the filter number. I don't know if that's right. Like I said, the dealer looked this all up and gave this to my wife, so hopefully it's the correct thing. It is just a paper type filter, so that looks like that's the correct type of filter, at least. It's not a can type. So, and it says made in Czech Republic, and it's got like an Audi symbol on it too. I don't know what that's all about. And then it also comes with a O-ring, and that's for the plastic cap that holds that filter in. So we'll see if this can be done at home. I think it can. I don't know what the dealer charges, but I'm sure it's a lot more than 77 bucks for the oil change. So let's get to it. Alright, so here we are underneath the hood. This is where you're going to put the oil in here. Right here, that's your oil cap. We can open that up. And you can see it's got a little symbol with a book. If you go in the book, it'll say right in there what type of oil to use. But also, if you look on the front of the car here, it says engine oil, and right here it says 0W20, and it's got to be VW508. I did look at some 0W20 that was full synthetic from a different brand, and it was not VW508. So, and like I said, I think that's because they're pushing the interval out so far that it's got to be that specific, but I'm not going to risk it. Oil is cheap in most cases, so we're going to do that. This is where our filter sits, right in here. I'm not sure of this nut size on top here, what type of socket you need. I think somebody said for older Tiguans it was like a 32 millimeter. I know for a fact I don't have those at home, they're all at work, but I do have some larger SAE size, so we'll see if we can get something to kind of fab up, or maybe we'll even use like an adjustable to crack that. That shouldn't be that tight because this is just a plastic housing. This plastic cover we need to take off to get to all this. I believe there's just like some keepers that kind of hold this. Yeah. Yep, so there's just some plastic keepers, and then the whole thing comes off. And there you're looking at the top of the engine there, intake. Alright, so anyway, so this is what we need to get to. And what does it have on top here? It says 25 plus 5 Newton meters. So I don't know, we'd have to look and see what the conversion is. I'm guessing that's probably like I'm going to say 13 foot-pounds, maybe. It can't be much. I wonder if I couldn't just spin this off by hand if it wasn't so hot. That's warm. Alright, so let me see if I got a socket that we can make that work. Alright, so I have good news. This Craftsman 1.25 inch. I mean, that fits on there pretty snug. I did the conversion, some table online. 25, I don't know what the +5 is, but 25 Newton meters is like, what was it, 16 or 18? I think it was 18 foot-pounds, 18 point something. So like I said, we're not going to go crazy with that. We'll see how tight that actually is. We got the same type of housings on some of the Ford trucks at work, and you don't go very tight with those. It's just that once that O-ring starts to tighten down, that's pretty much it. As soon as this stops turning, you stop. Like, you don't have to tweak it any more than that because it's just a plastic housing there. Alright, so I'm going to start by pulling the plug first, and if you look in there you can kind of see there's like a slot. So what I would do for the first oil change, just buy the drain plug. The dealer was telling me, well, we can just sell you the crush sleeve or the crush washer. And the more I think about it, they must be talking about the O-ring. I don't know that I would call that a crush washer. A crush washer I would assume is like more of like a copper aluminum. But this O-ring is what they're talking about. I'm thinking just get this, because that way you don't have to guess, and then you can take your screwdriver and size up the exact screwdriver that fits down in that slot, so you get a positive lock in there. And then this is just a quarter turn. Looking at the threads here, maybe quarter or half turn, and that comes out. So it's not really like threaded in like a traditional drain plug. So that's what I would do. I would not throw away the first one you take out, because it's probably good, and O-rings are cheap. We're talking a few cents for an O-ring if you don't go to the dealer. I'm sure you can figure out what size that is and just get one. Over time maybe this plastic would wear out, but I don't think I'd worry about it the first or second time that you do it. I think it's still good, and it'll save you what, $7-8. So let's get the drain plug out. Okay, so we're underneath the car here. There's your drain plug. So it's not on the bottom of the oil pan, it's actually coming out of the side. The oil pan is also plastic. And one other thing you could check, I don't know if you can see it or not, but right here, I can't even, those two bolts, the two giant bolts you see in the middle of the screen there, they actually got some oil on them. That would be, I'm assuming, some sort of seal between the transmission and the engine there. So I don't know if we got like I don't know if they call that a main seal, if they call it something different. So I have to kind of keep an eye on that. And there's just a little drip that's forming there. But there's your drain plug. Let's see if I can get that thing out without making a huge mess. All right, so let's see if we can make a mess here. Yeah, and if you look at the plug here, which I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but it just looks like a quarter twist is what it looks like. Oh, that's not oh good. Ooh, I just strip it out. Yeah, you kind of have to push and turn as you're doing it, so not a bad idea to have a new drain plug on hand, because you might end up destroying the first one if you've never done it before, kind of like I just did. I don't know if this is just going to come flying out of here then. Well, it's more than a quarter twist. Oh, I thought it would stay with the screwdriver. And I'm going to try letting it go. Woo, look at that. Not too bad for a first go around. Boy, that oil looks awful dark already. For only having 4,500 miles on it, or 46. Yeah, there's definitely something leaking over here. I have to kind of keep an eye. It looks like it's leaking in, like I said, in between the transmission here and the engine. So we'll let that drain and then we'll come back. All right, so let's see if we can make a mess here. Yeah, and if you look at the plug here, which I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but it just looks like a quarter twist is what it looks like. Oh, that's not good. Ooh, I just strip it out. Yeah, you kind of have to push and turn as you're doing it, so not a bad idea to have a new drain plug on hand, because you might end up destroying the first one if you've never done it before, kind of like I just did. I don't know if this is just going to come flying out of here then. It's more than a quarter twist. Oh, I thought it would stay with the screwdriver. And I'm going to try letting it go. Woo, look at that. Not too bad for first go around. Boy, and that oil looks awful dark already. For only having 4,500 miles on it, or 46. Yeah, there's definitely something leaking over here. I have to kind of keep an eye. It looks like it's leaking in, like I said, in between the transmission here and the engine. So we'll let that drain and then we'll come back. All right, I'm going to use my torque wrench to take this off, just because that's the only half-inch drive here I have. My torque wrench doesn't even go down to whatever I said the foot-pound was. Mine has Newton meters on it as well, but it only goes down to 35. So that's what oh yeah. So like this little bit, it's turning already. So it's definitely not much. And like this is a half-inch torque wrench, and I have it to the lowest setting, which is 35 Newton meters. So yeah, if you had a strong grip, you probably could break this loose. I'm hoping that all the oil kind of stays in there and it doesn't spill out all over everything. Dipstick tool, I suppose. Okay, so I just broke the seal on the oil filter. You can kind of hear like air escaping, and now there's more oil coming back out of the bottom of the pan. So we broke the air sealer, the vacuum, I guess. Ooh, that's warm. So it looks like we can pull it straight up. We do have this little tiny wire here for this sensor. It looks like that could be a cam sensor, maybe? No. Injector? Oh, it's not an injector. What is that? I'm not sure. No, they're all across the front here, whatever they are. Thought maybe it'd be a cam sensor, maybe not. Well, anyway, so yeah, we gotta pull this out carefully. I think I'm gonna grab a coffee can. Alright, so I got my plastic coffee can. I'm just gonna try to lift it straight up and in, hopefully without leaking all over everything. I'm pretty sure if you take it and you turn it, it's gonna leak out, but if you keep it in this orientation, it's not going to, and I'll hopefully show you. Alright, so if we do this, will it leak? Oh no, that's impressive. Ford ones, if you go like this, that's like when you break the seal and then you have just the oily mess. And there's a couple drips. Alright, we're gonna set that in there for now, and then we'll take a look at that filter. Alright, so this is the filter I pulled out. It looks very similar to the one that I got from the dealer in shape and dimension. The one from the dealer has writing on one end that I showed you. This one just looks plain on both ends. There doesn't appear to be a up or down on this, so you can put it in from either end. The one thing I was going to check is that plastic housing to see if there's anything in there that we need to pull out. I don't think that there is. But, so yeah, that's what the old filter looks like. So this is the new filter. Like I said, it's got writing on the one side, none on the other, but same dimension, shape, everything like that, so should be the right filter. If you've never changed oil on a car like this with the paper filter, it's usually got like some sort of little honeycomb sleeve that you slide the filter over. And this one's just a friction fit. And then that larger O-ring that comes with the oil filter, that just goes on right in here. So that's what makes the seal for the filter on the top of the engine. So let's we'll get that taken care of. Alright, so filter is just going to slide over that honeycomb. You're just going to kind of push it in until it bottoms out. It feels like it's in there. I don't know if there's a spring in there or not. There you go. So you might have to push it a little bit harder to get it home, so you get just a little bit. You'll tell when it bottoms out. So, and then you want to take just a little bit of oil, put it on an O-ring, and maybe put a little oil in these threads. I think this is a Ford thing, but Ford recommends putting a little light oil on the threads, and then obviously oil in an O-ring so it doesn't tear as you're installing it. Okay, I can't get it to focus much better. You see in the back of the oil filter housing there, there's oil that's sitting in there. And if I could get it to focus better, you'd actually see not only is there oil back there, but that oil actually has some metallic sparkle to it. So there's a little bit of break-in in this oil. So I don't know why, because even the dealer today told my wife, well, you know, you don't have to bring it in for 10,000 miles. And I'm like, I don't know, first oil change on a break-in, I don't know that I'd want to be running it that long. And at work, we've been running oil analysis, trying to figure out what our intervals should be for our fleet, and our intervals right now are too long. They're coming back all that we need to be changing them sooner, and we're doing on like small gas vehicles, which would be, this would be considered a small gas for our fleet, would be 8,000 miles. No, 6,000 miles or 8 months. And then like our medium duty, which is F-150 up to an F-550, we go 6 months or 7,500 miles. And then on heavy duty, the big trucks, that's 6 months or 10,000 miles. So, and like I said, those intervals are coming back that we need to be changing sooner. So I don't know, it'd be interesting to see, but I'm gonna try to get some paper towel in there and see if I can get a sample. Alright, so I couldn't really get a decent sample of that. That's just the way it's going to be, I guess. So we're going to put our filter on. You kind of want to line that up with the stem that sticks up. And once you get going here, that O-ring should engage almost immediately the way it looks. I'm probably going to turn this pretty close to tight. And like I said, if you don't have a torque wrench, you don't know what it's set to, I would just get it tight. Once it bottoms out, the plastic housing bottoms out on that aluminum there on the top, I'm going to call that good. I wouldn't go any tighter than that, because it's just a thin piece of plastic. So you can kind of see it's going easy here. And just like that, now it's bottomed out tight. I'd give it just a little bit. That's it. I wouldn't go any more than that. It wasn't very tight to take it off. And here's the trick. if it leaks, you can always tighten it down a little bit. If you crack it, your day is over. So well, here's what I'm talking about. That, oops, maybe you can't see it. The plastic lip there of the housing right here. Once that bottoms out on the metal, just give it a little bit. It's just that you're making contact, because like I said, it's only 25 plus 5 Newton meters, whatever that plus 5 means. So we'll get the drain plug in and then let's start filling this thing up. Alright, so that might be the best shot of the drain plug there, where the drain plug goes in. I don't know, I wish I could have got that before. Anyway, so I got the new drain plug here. I put a little bit of oil on the threads. Probably going to want to pull your pan out of the way so you don't accidentally drop it in there, because you'll be fishing. And make sure that your screwdriver fits in there good, because like I said, otherwise it's kind of questionable. So we're gonna try to, so it kind of threads in, and you get to a part where it gets hard, and that's where you're gonna make sure you're pushing in. And I'm assuming it should, yeah, it snaps in. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's like a little notch that it kind of sets in, and then that's where it's got to be. Let's see if we can get the light here. Oh. Yeah, I don't even know. Looks like it's in there. Yeah. So there's like a little recessed area that there's like a little peg that sticks out on that plug. That's where it's got to fit in. So, and like I said before, if you're gonna do this for the first time, I wouldn't even question it. Just get a new plug, because you could goof something up, and then if it leaks, you got really expensive oil leaking out. And if you break it, then you have to run and get a plug. For the $7, just get the plug. And then, like I said, if you don't goof the first one up, you have a spare. You just got to get an O-ring for. So that is the amount of oil that came out. That's 6 quarts of oil. And I don't even know, what is the displacement on this engine? It's pretty small. It's a 4-cylinder. I don't know if it's like a 1.9 or something like that. I don't know, I should know that. I can tell you though that my 4.6 liter Crown Victoria also took 6 quarts of oil, and that was a V8. So that's another reason why they're probably running such a long interval on the engine oil changes, because they have 6 quarts of oil for such a small little tiny engine. The other thing, you might not want to push the interval so far like they say, is the car is turbocharged, and that turbocharger is going to use the engine oil to cool it. You really don't want to have to replace the turbocharger. And like I said, oil is cheap. Just change the oil, even if you're changing it before the interval recommended by VW. Who cares? Don't listen to the dealer. They're in the market to sell you cars. Use the science behind it to make your decision. Alright, so I'm going to spare you me dumping in 6 quarts of oil, but it's interesting to note that this has the plastic cap seal that you have to break, and then there's also a foil seal. So I guess the really expensive oil comes with a fancy 2 seals, I guess, to make sure that the oil is still good. So I'll get this dumped in and then we'll finish this up. Alright, so I know I wasn't gonna show you me dumping oil, but you gotta check this out. I don't know if that's coming on the camera or not, but that oil is actually green in color. You can kind of maybe see it against the yellow funnel there. So there's definitely some sort of special additive package that VW is having this Castrol brand oil make for them. So that's just interesting that it's green. Alright, so I got it all filled up with oil. Before I would put the cover on, I'd start it up and then just check to make sure you don't have any leaks on your filter there. There shouldn't be, but that way with it off, it's easy to see. So let's get this thing started. Alright, so let's start it up. Alright, so I didn't see any warning gauges or anything for low oil pressure right off the bat. This is a noisy little engine though, that's for sure. Everything here looks good, I don't see any leaks. Take a quick look underneath. No, nothing there is leaking either. Way in the back there, that's condensation from the air conditioner. I think we're safe to put the cover on. Okay, so as long as it's within this hash mark range here, you can kind of see, as long as it's within that range, it's good. In the owner's manual, it says when you're adding the oil, it says the amount of oil needed, it says about 6 quarts. So kind of just keep an eye on it. It also says something about adding oil. Do not add more than, I believe it's half a quart. So it's got to have something to do with having too much oil in the system. So I know when we bought the car, it wasn't to the top of the hash mark on the dipstick, but according to the way the book reads, you shouldn't do anything with it as long as it's within that operating range. So I didn't. I checked it here, everything looks good, so we're going to call that a win. Hopefully at some point I will do a review on this thing. We already have, like I said, 4,600 miles on this thing, and I haven't done a review. Just got done washing it here and then checking over the oil. So, alright, that's going to be your 2019 Tiguan oil change.